Good evening, I'm your host, Jack Remington of the Jack Remington NFL channel. Good to be back. Last week went 4-1. Our only loss, we had the Colts. The wheels came off in the fourth quarter. And here we go. And the Vikings were losing at the time. And I'm going to start off 0-3. Here we go. But the Vikings barely covered. And then I was on my way. And then won the other 4 games to finish 4-1. But don't smile yet. So you can't rest on your laurels. That's my point. Everybody knows that I don't have a script. I've got my picks here for Fish Hang's Soup Contest Simulator. Fish Hang, I salute you. A lot of hard work. I used to do stuff like this for the casinos I worked at, football pools, weekly pools, and it's a lot of work. And if you get something wrong, they let you know that you fix it and you apologize and you move on. And it's a lot of work. It's easy to make a mistake. There's so much data there's so much stuff you got to do online. So Fish Hang does a great job, and I'm happy to be part of that. And I'm going to thank him for inviting me back to pregame.com. I mean, he was the deciding factor for me to come back, and he was professional about it. Let's get to the picks. Let's try the Cleveland Browns +1. They're at the New Orleans Saints. Jameis Winston's the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. The Saints come off their upset win. They played spoiler, and they knocked the big chink of armor out of the Atlanta Falcons, the first place in their NFC South division. Now Tampa's kind of chasing them, but Tampa's got a lot. Tampa's one of the worst banged up teams in the NFL right now. Although they've played well at times, they beat Detroit in week 3. So Tampa's a very capable team. They covered against the 49ers the other week, so banged up and all. They were down 17-0 and come back and took a lead. Is that right? I didn't watch the game. I didn't watch that game, but guys were talking about it at work. But the Saints put the monkey wrench in the Falcons. And they're all happy, and that's their exhale. Yeah. Oh, so we're home now? Okay, so we just got a big win, and then we just knocked off the Falcons and our division rival. Well, they only play Cleveland once every 4 years. But Jameis Winston used to play for the Saints, and he's made it very vocal, very openly, that he's upset how the Saints treated him, how they let him go. And he's got something to prove. Now, on the Cleveland Browns side, just got done trounced a couple weeks ago before they went on their bye. They've had 2 weeks to do about it, and we just look terrible. And Jameis Winston had 3 interceptions, and there were 3 drop passes that should have been 3 more interceptions. I mean, he had a bad game. It happens in the NFL. We all know that. I know we're only getting a point, so it's essentially a pick'em game. And like I said in the other video, you got to try to get a high percent of these games, and I think this is one of them. I think we can just pick up really quick here and put it in our win column. Other than the quarterback, they got Derek Carr back, and I think Derek Carr is slightly better than Jameis Winston. And they got Kamara, the running back. He's, I think, slightly better than Chubb of Cleveland, but Chubb is capable. And Chubb's nursing an injury, but I think Kamara, they're all injured by week 11. They're all banged up. I mean, it's just the way it is. That's our business. Other than the quarterback and running back, I think Cleveland's got them from top to bottom. I think that Cleveland's got a capable team. Second game, we're taking the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're at home. I know the home dogs have not covered this year, but I still keep picking them. I have my head examined. But we're getting a field goal, and they're hosting the Ravens. And now, I've tried to explain to one of my coworkers last night that there's 4 units that are on the sidelines in each football game. The home team has an offense. The home team has a defense. The visiting team has an offense, and the visiting team has a defense. 4 units on the field. Okay? The standout unit in this game is the Steelers' defense. It just is. I mean, they're still playing at a high level. They know how to shut people down. They've had good success shutting down Lamar Jackson. Slowing them down where Lamar Jackson can't do the damage he does to other teams. Let me word it that way. 60% of their games in the last 20 years, they're field goal or less. I mean, they just play close to the vest. They don't like to take these big, long bomb shots down the field. They don't do the handoff, the double handoff reverse on a kickoff or anything like that. You won't see that in the Ravens-Steelers game. They play close to the vest, both teams. These are the 2 most tenured coaches in the NFL, Jim Harbaugh and Tomlin of the Steelers. They know what they're doing. They've got the experience. I mean, how do you argue against experience? And they know each other very well. Russell Wilson is a wild card in this thing here. He's giving the Steelers offense a boost, and he's making some outstanding throws. The deciding score when they beat the Commanders the other week, that ball was placed perfectly down that. I mean, it was an amazing throw, an amazing catch. The Steelers got some guys and grabbed that ball. I mean, that's something that they haven't had in decades. They got some receivers that you get the ball near them, and the harder the throw looks, the more likely to make the catch. That's a sign of a winning team. The Ravens are a winning team too. They get the offense, they get Derrick Henry, and it's like they can't be stopped. But their defense is terrible. They're like in the bottom 5 in the NFL, almost all defensive metric. Where Steelers, they got a top 5 unit or higher, and their offense is top 10. So that you got the top 5 offense of both teams, but on the defense, you got Pittsburgh's way up here, Baltimore's way at the bottom. I don't know how Harbaugh's going to fix that, but let's hope he doesn't fix it for this game. So we're going to take the home dog Steelers, take the 3 points, and hope for a razor-thin game or a Steeler outright victory, which is possible. Next game, Detroit Lions -14. They're home. They're hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars were up 7-0 in that truncated line game against the Vikings. And we had the Vikings, thank God. The Soup Simulator is one thing I love about the Soup Simulator. The lines are fixed. They can't change. So it was Vikings -4.5. We won by half a point. We'll take it. The betting line, if you want to go to the window, it was Vikings -6.5, 7. They're all over the place. Well, I didn't touch any of that, and I hope you didn't either. I looked at the spreadsheet that Fishang works hard at. A lot of guys took the Vikings. Good for us. That shows that we're paying attention. And waiting till the last day to do this helps a lot too. The guys that picked it early in the week, and some that didn't pick the Vikings, they picked you lost. So, but I think the Lions are just going to just steamroll them. I think Jacksonville's quit. People keep telling me that Jacksonville didn't quit. They are playing hard, but they got to gain 3.5 yards to 1. I mean, Minnesota moving the ball, and Sam Darnold turned it to the pumpkin for the Vikings. I kept warning people about that. So that's why you won't be seeing me take the Vikings for a couple more weeks to see what's going to happen to him. I'm going to say it now because I might forget the video. Like I said, I don't have the picks. I don't have a script. Whatever comes in my head comes in my head. I think the beginning and the end of Sam Darnold came in that game. Of course, I got the game wrong. We had the Vikings and they were playing the Rams. And at the end of the game, the guy grabbed Sam Darnold by the face mask, and you can see it turned his head. A blatant, one of the worst non-calls I've seen in a long time. I mean, this is a top 10 all-time gaffe by the referees. And Sam Darnold was trying to be nice, but hey, didn't you see that? And the referee, well, no, forget losing the game for the contest or whatever I was doing. Forget that. I mean, it's a player safety issue, and none of us want to see the players get hurt on either side. We don't do that. We like sportsmanship, and we treasure that. We value that. But I think it rattles case so bad, the old Sam Darnold came back and he's turned it to the pumpkin. I want to be wrong about that, but I got a lot of experience doing this. This game here, we got the Lions. We're taking the Lions -14. But, they were one play away from beating the Vikings by 1 point. Now, the Lions, on the other hand, a couple weeks ago, they were playing a cupcake team. I believe it was the Titans. Titans moved the ball up and down the field on them. I mean, they were looking pretty good for a while there. But they just couldn't score. Detroit was somehow fine. They missed the field goals. Whatever would happen, they got a turnover. And the Lions didn't look all that good on offense. But they beat them 55-14, whatever it was. They destroyed them. And a kickoff return, they blocked the punt, that kind of stuff. So it's like the Lions are just half-ass trying, which is okay. It's called they throw the helmets on the field. Last week, Lions played, and Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions. Is that right? And I believe 4. No, they were in the first half. And Texas got a big lead on them, 20-7, and the Lions came back and clawed back and won that game. It's like you're getting 2 different Detroit Lion teams. We'll just show up on the field. We know we're good. Okay, yeah, we'll see what happens. But when the coach yells at him in the locker room in halftime, like I heard he did the other game, they came in and they showed the world, hey, we're the Detroit Lions. We're hungry. So the tale of 2 lions. Now let that be a lesson to you. And I think Detroit's just going to come out and smoke this team. I mean, they learned their lesson by playing with fire with the Titans, playing with fire with the Texans. So I think the Texans are a good team. We're going to lay the chalk. Next game, we're going to take the Denver Broncos -2.5. They're hosting the Atlanta Falcons. Now I just got done talking about the Falcons. They got knocked off by the Saints. But that's a division rival game, and the Saints had lost 7 in a row. They're looking pretty bad. They fired Dennis Allen. Mr. Benson, he was the longtime owner of the Saints. He passed a few years ago. His third wife's taking over the team, 77-year-old lady. She seemed pretty sharp, though. I saw her in one of the interviews. I was watching one of these sports shows. She had a direct hand in getting rid of Dennis Allen and making some moves here and there. So she's taking a keen interest, a direct interest in the team. But don't look for her to be a Georgia Fontieri of the Rams. I don't think she's that much of an attention hound, if you know what I mean. Georgia Fontieri dated Joe Namath, and then she dated Everett, the quarterback for the Rams. But hey, to each their own. I'll just say that out there for the old guys that might remember that and got a good laugh at like I did. So, but the Broncos, they had the game won last week, and the Chiefs come out with another big play when they need it, and they blocked that field goal. that look on Sean Payton's face. But it was the week before that I saw something on Sean Payton that, in a way I like, but in a way it's a double-edged sword. I had the Broncos. I was getting all these points. The Broncos double-digit points, and they were, going to stick it to the Ravens. The Ravens not taking them seriously. Well, guess what? The Broncos look terrible. The worst game they played this year. I mean, they just look dreadful. Look like they quit. That look on Sean Payton's face said it all. I mean, he was mad at the play. He was angry, and he couldn't hide it in the second half. So he's okay. I'm sure he gave it to him in the locker room on the way home on the plane. I was sure it was a long flight home from Baltimore back to Denver. So, but the Broncos, their defense plays good at times. They had the parts there, and Sean Payton's concentrating on that defense. They got to get the offense going, and I think Bo Nix I think he's got a good shot at making it and being a long-time player for the NFL. I saw some things I liked, even in that big loss. The Chicago Bears quarterback, if you don't mind me saying, the Caleb Williams, I think he's a bust. I don't think he's going to make it. Don't be surprised when he's out of football 3 years from now. Go back to this video and say the spaceman said he'd be out of football. Well, he's going to be out of football. My Facebook page got shut down. My Instagram, everything got shut down when RG3, when I said he's too small for the NFL, he will be out of football in 3 years. Well, guess what? He was out of football in 3 years. He made a comeback. He's third stringer somewhere. He's still maybe on the NFL team as we speak, but he's too small for the NFL. He just can't take the hit. Johnny Manziel, he was a freshman star for Texas A&M. I did the same thing about him. I said he's a party animal. Didn't miss practice. The NFL, they're only going to tolerate so much shit. And they're just going, you know what? This is what you got to do. If you can't show up, you're out of here. He messed around when he was with the Cleveland Browns. I'm pretty sure he played for the Cleveland Browns. And they said, you know what? This isn't going to work. And he was out of football. He was just too young, handling being in the NFL. And he was too small, too. Maurice Claret, that running back from Ohio State, same thing. I said the same thing. I said they should not allow freshmen to keep playing in the NFL. They got to grow. They got to get older. They got to get some meat on their bones. They got to get a little stronger. They get that man strength, But I didn't get too much heat about Maurice Claret because he was a chowderhead, how he behaved in school and everything. But I took a lot of heat over RG3, him than any other player, and followed closely by Johnny Manziel or whatever they call him. This Caleb Williams, not going to make it, but I think Bo Nix might. He has a good chance. And he's got a good coach to work with. Caleb Williams, not so much. I think Eberflus is a stooge. He ain't gonna be around. He might get fired this year. But we're going to take the Broncos. They're going to slow down the Falcons' big offense. They're going to slow down the Falcons. Now the Falcons got to go up to Mile High. The Broncos players, they get acclimated to that high altitude, and that gives them a slight advantage. You may not think so, but give them a quarter of a step or an eighth of a step, and they won't get as tired in the fourth quarter. So we're going to take the Broncos one lane, 2.5. If it was 3, I'd pick a different game. But 2.5, I'll take a shot at this. And maybe the Falcons are starting to reel. Maybe the Falcons are on a losing streak now. They might. Oh, okay, we're still in first place by a couple of games. The Tampa Bay Bucks are chasing them, but the Bucks are beat up and banged up. Maybe they're being too comfy. But the Broncos are not comfy. They got a taste of a huge victory that let it get through their grasp, and maybe that'll fire the players up. And they might think, okay, well, we couldn't beat the Chiefs if we had that game won. We'll take it out on the Falcons. We're going to take it out on somebody. And this might be the game where they run up a score. So we're going to take the Broncos. Last game, and this is the one that I struggled with, and I hope I'm getting it right. But we're going to take the Cincinnati Bengals plus 1.5. I know they're at Los Angeles Chargers. I've been riding the Chargers. I got a couple wins out of them. I mean, they're playing good. But if you look at their wins, they beat cupcake teams. I know Cincinnati's got some problems, especially on defense. Joe Burrow's got the offensive machine finally cranking, and if Higgins comes back, it's even better. Chargers defense has played well. I mean, they're a top 5 defensive team in the NFL this year. But like I said, they're playing cupcakes. I don't consider the Bengals to be a cupcake. Maybe on defense they could be considered a cupcake, but on the offense and special teams, they still got it. Bengals were a deadly team, and that Joe Burrow he's got the machine moving. They took Baltimore to the mat twice, and they should have won both those games, but they didn't. Had the Eagles took them to the slugfest, but the wheels came off in the third and fourth quarter, and they didn't score anymore. And Philadelphia just did what they did last night to Washington. They outlasted them, and they're physically in shape. I think Sirianni's getting a clue. Maybe he's thinking like I think. Well, if my team's in better shape than you, the fourth quarter is going to belong to me. Well, that's a winning strategy. Something that he didn't have last year. So maybe Sirianni is getting a clue when you were talking about the Eagles. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that game. I played the stupid under in the second half. Saquon Barkley reminded me, Jack, you're not good at over-unders. Stick to the sides. So anyway, we're going to take the Bengals because this is their season. Okay, if they lose here, they're going to fall to 4-7. The Chargers are fighting for a 7th or 6th seed, and the Bengals are fighting for a 6th or 7th seed. And they lose to the Chargers, well, then the Chargers got the tiebreaker. So this is an important game for the Bengals. This is their season. It's do or die. And that's why it's a low line. I mean, I made my line. I made Chargers minus 3.5. And look at this. It's still Bengals only getting 1.5. That's awful short line. What are they trying to tell us? What are the bookmakers, the line setters, the odds makers trying to tell us? What does Vegas know that we don't know? I'm guessing that Vegas is thinking that they're going to go all out and they're just going to, put a couple guys on a couple of the wide outs for Chargers and hope they can just slow Herbert down for a couple possessions. But they have to adopt the Don Coryell, Air Coryell theme of if I get the ball last and if I outscore you, I win. The hell with defense. I mean, that's what the Bengals got to do to keep winning these games. That's the only shot they got. They lose this game here, I think the Bengals are finished. I think they'll quit. Just give me 30 seconds to talk about this thing about quit. Not all 11 players on your offense or defense or special teams are going to quit. It only takes 2 or 3 of the kids. When I say kids, I mean young players. It only takes 2 or 3 of the players to say, let the next guy make the tackle, and they take a step off, or they don't run as quite as fast as they have to get to the receiver in the middle of the field because they don't want to take a big hit. Their season's over. I'm not saying they're right or wrong. I'm not passing judgment. I'm telling you what happens. And I played ball too, not at a very high level, and I always got hurt when I got put in the game. That's why I never did anything with football. I did play ball. I played high school ball, and I did a lot of sandlot games. You may think, well, what's this? Anybody do a pick-up sandlot game? Well, you're still playing football. You're still out there playing of your peers. When the game was over, let the next guy. I'm tired. I'll catch my breath. Or the girl's waving to me and wave to the girl. But you get distracted. That's what's going to happen. The Bengals lose this game here. Some of the players are going to quit, and that's enough to win. They're not going to win any more games or to be lucky to win the game after this. A couple quick notes. I got 3 good positive comments. They don't mind a 20-minute video if they get information. Some of them, 2 to 3, like the stories I tell. 2 out of 3 don't mind because they say they get benefit from the long videos. So I keep trying to do a 10-minute video. That's just not going to work in the NFL. With how I do my format, it just is not going to work. The videos are necessary, so I'll try to keep it to 20, 25 minutes max. I'll do my best to cut it out, the excess stuff. I give good information, and I got the history, and I got the experience to back it up. And you're getting me for free. It's discouraging when you get your video too long, and I'm not watching anymore, and you suck, and you had a bad week. Well, I'm having a bad year. This is the worst year I've ever had. But I'm not giving up. I mean, I don't make excuses for anything for myself. I'll make excuses for other people and other things. Yeah, I may not do that depending on the situation, but for myself, I'll make excuses. I got one speed, and that's forward. I just keep moving forward. Oh, and by the way, tonight's that fight for the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. He's a influencer on YouTube. He lives 20 miles from me in Calabasas, 30-minute drive from me. I've never met the guy. I've never talked to him. I don't interact with him. I don't think I even follow his channel. I did meet one of his editors with the YouTube gathering on the other side of Los Angeles. YouTube's got an outstanding studio, and they keep telling me they love working for Jake Paul. Pretty bright young man. I hope he is. I mean, I hear nothing but good things about the guy. I like Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson's old. He's 58. And so I got to root for the older guy. I'm an old guy. I love it when George Foreman beat that Michael Moore for the heavyweight championship. I'm going back 30 years ago. But George Foreman was 43 and Michael Moore was 27. and he was lost every round. But in the 10th round, boom, boom, it was over because he's got that puncher's chance. And Michael, the whole sport, they just jumped up. Washington, Rockville, Maryland, when I lived back east. I forgot the name of the sports bar, but I mean, there must have been a couple hundred kids, a couple hundred guys in there, a couple of girls, and they cheered. That whole place was for George Foreman. And I wonder how many Mike Tyson fans he really has here, I mean, for this fight tonight. I know Jake Paul's, big, and he's bigger than Mike Tyson too, which worries me. Big blonde guy, not a bad looking guy, young man. He's got to be in his early 30s if he's that old. I mean, it's kind of an unfair fight, a young guy beating up on an old guy, which really angers me. I know I shouldn't pick sides in this. I should just know what it truly is. It's a show for money. I don't really think they're going to try to kill each other, but maybe it is a real fight. And if it is, I want Mike Tyson to win because he's an older guy, and I like Mike Tyson. I know he's done some things that maybe he shouldn't have done, but we all have. I know he spent time in jail. I know he did this, he did that, but you know what? There's two sides of every story, and you're innocent until proven guilty. And I just think Mike Tyson got a raw deal with a couple of things he got involved with. People stole money from him, which really infuriates me. And when I was a younger man going to law school, I wanted to get legislation for boxers, just boxers. This is before the MMA and this WWF SmackDown, before all that stuff came on the board. The UFC, all it was non-existent. It was not even thought of. Boxers, professional boxers, get ripped off a lot, and they make them sign these open-ended contracts like Don King used to do. And I kept thinking, you take 10% of the money and make sure they get Social Security withdrawn off of it, and have a 10% boxing fund that when a year after they're done boxing, they declare they can't fight anymore, and they keep making these comebacks to try to earn money when they're old and have no chance. Just protect the boxers, protect them, and it's kind of a secondary Social Security or a trust fund or something. And they're, you're a racist. I mean, I got shouted down by everybody in the classroom, including the instructor. But my heart was in the right place. Thomas Hearns. I could go down the list of all the boxers that got ripped off. And I felt bad for Marvin Hagler. I did a video about Marvin Hagler on my other channel. Extremely sad circumstances. And these guys, they're easily duped. They're easily flim-flammed by these give-the-gab attorneys and hangers on, and I mean, they're very smart people. And it's like Senator Kennedy said on that Forbes channel. He goes, "That guy, he could talk the dogs off a meat wagon." And so I love Senator Kennedy, but this is the NFL channel. I've rambled a little too much. I told a second story maybe I shouldn't have told, but I'm keeping it on here. Long live the NFL. Enjoy the games. Always ready to be American. Thank you, players. I'll see you next video. Good day.